always remember that some weeks you are going to be able to move mountains, and some weeks you're going to barely be able to get out of bed. But it doesn't matter what kind of week you're having. You're an awesome, talented, amazing person. And there needs to be more of you in the world. So as we don Quitter's Day, and 80% of the people out there, their New Year's resolutions have gone into the tank, I want you to remember that the problems of the day will not be near as important tomorrow. And so whatever it looks like for you and your goals and aspirations in your everyday life, just make a small baby step in the right direction. If this week is a week that you can move mountains, then go attack, go be brave, go be fierce, go do you. But if this is a week where you're barely getting out of bed, it's okay. You got out of bed. And I want you to know that's okay. Just remember, progress over complacency. (2021) Here we are. We are on the opposite side of some of the worst of COVID. My family and I are dealing with an infant. We got very fortunate with them because I know a lot of parents lose a lot of sleep because of their children. Our kid, when he's out, sleeps all through the night. And super fortunate enough that we're like, we don't want to have another kid, so we don't want to risk it. We got so lucky with them. But 2021, there were really only about two significant things that happened. We'll talk about the first one. My wife, her mother had a childhood friend, best friend, who was like a second mom to my wife and her sister. She passed away in 2021, and although my time was obviously limited with her, I know just exactly how much of an impact she had on my wife's family. And so I do want to recognize that because I do think that there's a portion of my wife and who she is because of this woman. And just know that, the people that that were left behind, they all, love and miss you. We got to do something kind of cool this last year. We went to Alaska and we took a road trip up there. My mother-in-law was picking rocks, and she's a rock collector. I don't know, she's a nerd, but she was picking rocks, and she found a rock that she wanted to leave Maggie's name on, which was her friend that passed, and Maggie would have loved the trip, and so being out there, I think we were in Wyoming is when we did it. The way they took a rock and the whole family signed it, and we left it out there on a mountainside for just in remembrance to Maggie. So it was something special for my wife and her family, and just know that that was a huge impact for us in 2021, especially for my mother-in-law, and that was her best friend, and the relationship that they built, is definitely something that you definitely want to strive for as far as goals with your friends, right? So, but just know, Maggie, although my time with you was very short-lived, I know that you meant so much to a lot of people, and I just appreciate the love that you had for my wife. And so after that, as far as 2021 goes, me and my family, I'm pushing to do photography full time. I left Mazio's right at 2021, and for months, we were surviving, but that's all we were kind of doing. and I wanted to do more with my photography, but the problem was the cost of having a child just really kind of derailed it, right? And I remember finally I had reached my tipping point. I remember we didn't have money for diapers, and I was like, okay, I got to find something. I got to find something more sturdy. I'd already left Mazio's. That was probably something I should have stuck around with. At least if I wanted to build my photography career, because it allowed me the opportunity. I just was so gung-ho of trying to go full-time photography-wise. And so I updated my resume. I have a long retail background. And I updated my resume and sent it out to one place. And that was Rally House. They were opening up their first store in the Oklahoma market. And I applied literally 2 days later, interview with the recruiter, then interview with the DM that hired me, interview with the COO of the company, all within about a week. And Mother's Day weekend was when I started. I drove up from Oklahoma City to Wichita for training. I was there for 2 weeks. And then I was hired to open up the stores in the Oklahoma market. So 2 weeks of training, I go back to start the new store opening process, which was about a 4-week process. In that time, I forgot all of my training. It was terrible. Fortunately, though, I was able to bring on board as my assistant manager my son's godmother and one of my best friends. She had also worked with me before at a previous company. So she was doing a lot of the training while I was opening up the store. And I had never opened a new store before in my career, and so this was exciting for me. I was ready to get after it. Obviously, a new company, I had a lot to learn, but it was fun. And I will tell you though, it was like it was a lot. And so not only just trying to get settled in with a new company, but also trying to be a dad and all that kind of stuff, and during the new store opening process, I actually had hurt my back. So when you open a new store, obviously you get in fixtures that you have to, most of the time you have to build. And for Rally House, like, everything comes in unassembled. You gotta build it all. And the problem was that at the time when all that stuff came in, I was the only one employed in the state of Oklahoma for Rally House. So I was there. And in a perfect world, they would unload it from the truck, pull it into the store, and you would just take it off the pallet and build it. But Penn Square Mall would not allow the driver to be able to come through the store, and the store was in the middle of the mall. So the driver, being a dick, drops the fixtures off at the back of the mall dock and just left. And so had to hand carry the fixture pieces in because there was no carts, nothing for me to use. There was no one there to help me. And it literally took me all day. And by the time I was done, my back was completely shot. And to the point where, like, I had to actually have my wife come help me the next day just so I could walk into the building. And so a couple of days later, it finally got better. I was able to hire a few people, get them started. But I'm always going to remember being in the middle of the first store in Penn Square Mall and me deciding that I thought it would be a great idea for me to lay on my back. I thought it would help me stretch it out. And then realizing that I couldn't get up. My wife had to build like a little ramp out of the fixtures to help me, like, so I could stand. It was the first time I also went to a chiropractor too for it. It was crazy. And so I say that because my journey with Rally House, I had a great time working for the company. There were a lot of things that I wish I could have done differently. A lot of things that could have been better. But I think that's the same way with any company. But that first year when I was at Rally House, we only had 2 stores. We opened up Penn Square Mall. And then I was going to take the Norman location. So about a month into the the opening of Penn Square Mall, I moved over to Norman to start running that location, and the success we had, it was great. I was super proud of the team that I had started to put together there, and 2021 was really the year that I got back into leadership. Right, like I was in management, I was running Mazio's, but I was just there to clock in, clock out, get my paycheck, make sure that everyone kind of, was taken care of. It certainly wasn't anything that I was pouring my heart and soul into, but this was different. When I got hired on with Rally House, there was just the expectation that they wanted to aggressively grow the market, and I knew that meant I was going to have to be on top of my game. I was going to have to hire good people. I was going to have to really, be a leader. And I look back at it, and although there's a lot of things in my career I'm super proud of, I think that first year that I had with Rally House is probably the peak of that. And it only got bigger from there as we kind of go into 2022, 23, and 24. I'll talk a little bit about the growth that we had with Rally House, but and in my career. But it was a really good time. So out of all the years between 19 and 24, this was probably the most uneventful. Like I said, the passing of a family friend and loved one, but also the start of a 3-year run of my career that I'm super proud of with Rally House. So not a lot else going on there. Obviously there were some things that, like when I look back at it, it's my first Christmas with Rally House. I don't, my problem, I guess, is that I don't tell my employers no. Like I'm the guy that, like, you want something done. In fact, actually our COO at Rally House had even mentioned that, like, if you want something done, you ask Andrew to do it. Like, and they had asked me to go assist in another market in Philadelphia. And I was only going to be there for a week, but a week turned into 2, then it turned into 4, and I was there from a couple of days because I missed Thanksgiving with my family. I was there a couple of days before Thanksgiving, all the way up till I think I flew home the night before Christmas Eve, and that was the first holiday that my wife and I had a kid. And so if I could go back and redo it, I probably would have set more boundaries. I don't fault the company for having me there. Like, I was the one that said yes. But, I also learned when I was with Mazio's, right, that if you say no, they're just going to make you do it anyways. And there were times that happened at Rally House too. It is what it is. But, I wish I would have prioritized my family more. And that was kind of the start of me prioritizing work again over my family. And that was something I had a huge issue with prior to 2019. Like, I in my career, I'd been fortunate to be able to move up pretty quickly and be really aggressive with my career, but that came at a sacrifice of not spending near enough time with my family, and it was just amplified the fact that we had a child and I wasn't doing what I needed to do as a father and as a husband. So again, that's my fault, and even when it was like that before, at previous companies I worked for, like, that's my fault. And so that's the reason why I'm kind of doing this podcast, right? Is because, one, I want to prioritize what's important to me. I want to have accountability from the, individuals, or hopefully potentially, a lot of people who watch this podcast and follow the content. But I also want a little bit of a documentation of my journey, because going into 2025, my perception and my viewpoints on things are drastically different than what they were, especially in 2021. And so, again, I'm, in 2021, I'm about to go into some of the biggest highlights of my career. But it came at so much sacrifice from my family, and it wasn't worth it. And so I hope, that I make better decisions moving forward. I'm with a new company now that I absolutely love. And there's always going to be times, especially if you're in multi-unit leadership, where work is going to have to be a priority. And that's 100% understandable. I mean, I get paid well to do what I do, and I'm appreciative of the opportunity that I have to do it. But that doesn't mean that, I can't also be better at home and things like that. So I'm at the point now where I'm rambling a little bit. So 2021 in a nutshell, new career, and yeah, not super eventful, but definitely the catapult to some really fun times. So there you go, 2021 in a nutshell. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening.